first-time watchers post. I'm Minister Susan Maya. Thank you for visiting my channel today, and don't forget to give a thumbs up for the video. But for Jesus, give all glory, honor, and praise. Many of you have already heard about the Russian war vessels off the coast of Florida. The Russian nuclear-powered submarine and other vessels arrived in Cuba on Wednesday for a 5-day visit to the island in a show of force amid spiraling U.S.-Russian tensions. And the submarine Kazan, K-A-Z-A-N, which Cuba says is not carrying nuclear weapons, was accompanied by the frigate Admiral Gorshkov, as well as an oil tanker and a salvage tug. The Kazan and the Admiral Gorshkov, these two vessels, which is one of the Russians' most modern ships, could be seen just off of Havana, which is about 90 miles from south coast of Florida. The tanker and the tug entered the harbor early Wednesday morning. It is comforting to know that the U.S. military, by land, sea, air, satellite, and everything else we have, are watching them closely. What needs to be considered is, while we are being distracted by the Russian military display off of our coast, is there something going on behind the scenes? Russian President Putin has threatened to supply other countries with weapons to use to attack Western targets. But the mainstream news media has spun the story to have its audience think that these countries would be only in Europe. The countries these warships are visiting are at our doorstep. Think about it. If countries like Cuba, Mexico, Venezuela, and Nicaragua were supplied with weapons like missiles, how dangerous that would be for us. They could strike deep into the U.S. very quickly. This whole situation eerily reminds me of Dumitru Duduman's prophecy. Many of you already know about it, but for those who don't, I'll condense the story. Dumitru was a Christian who was deported to the United States for smuggling Bibles into Russia. Shortly after coming here in 1984, the angel of the Lord told him what would happen in the future. It was God's judgment for America's sins. The angel said California, Las Vegas, New York, and Florida would burn. The Russians will bombard the nuclear missile silos in America, and America will burn. From the ocean, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries would attack. Is this part of the prophecy what's being set up right now? I have to question. Could be. But then the prophecy goes, China and Japan and other nations would push the Russians back to the gates of Paris, where they would sign a peace treaty and make the Russians their leader. After that, the nations, with Russia leading them, would go against Israel. God makes them do so. Which sounds like the Ezekiel 38 war to me. Now, my intent is not to scare anyone, but to simply inform the people and to encourage prayer, because prayer does change things. Then finally, in the prophecy, the Jewish people will call upon Jesus, the Messiah, and he will help them. Then they will meet him in the clouds, which sounds like a good description of the rapture to me. People, time is getting short. Jesus is returning soon. Are you ready? Are you saved?